Homesteading isn't just about working hard, it's about working smart. As much as we love our land, our animals, and the work that comes with it, we can't forget one essential ingredient: rest. Today, we're diving into why rest is just as important as the hustle on the homestead, and how understanding the rhythms of the season, especially winter, can help you find balance. Let's explore how slowing down as parents, as homesteaders, might be the key to keeping your homestead thriving all year long. It's really hard to find rest as a mom. And so something that we've done over the years as we have practiced taking a day off is getting strategic and thinking about things that can be done ahead of time to make our day off go smoother. So one of those things that I do and implement every week is I take the time to plan out the weekend. So if we're going somewhere, if I have to prepare food for something, I have that all mapped out on Thursday and Friday, getting ready for the weekend. And then on Saturday, I am typically in the kitchen prepping food for Sunday, unless we are gone on a Saturday, in which case I'll move it around a little bit. Sometimes I'll even make double batches of things and freeze it. Some things I make every single week, and this is one of them. I am making sourdough cinnamon rolls. We make cinnamon rolls every single week for our Sunday morning breakfast before church. Typically, we pair it with some kind of protein like yogurt, eggs, breakfast casserole, sausage, bacon, something to hold us over while we are at church. This is a rhythm my kids have come to really love. I've spent the last 2 years really honing in and perfecting the kind of cinnamon rolls my family likes, playing around with the recipe, and this is what we really like. And it's Lisa Bass from Farmhouse on Boone. It's her sourdough cinnamon roll recipe if you want to look it up. But resting is hard for moms. You know, you've got small children underfoot. It's not like you can just turn off their needs for the day. So I plan ahead and I prep food like this. And then on the day of, our morning usually runs much smoother because food's prepped. I love to utilize my slow cooker on the weekend as I'm trying to get other things done. It's an easy way to have supper kind of on autopilot. As for the actual day, something I like to do is make sure I have time in the afternoon to either work on a hobby. I love to embroider. It's one of my old grandma hobbies that I have. And I also like to sometimes read in the afternoons. We try to really intermix fun with our rest. You know, we don't want our kids to look back and think Sundays were just so boring and awful and terrible. We want them to look back and think, wow, we had a lot of fun as a family. So those are kind of the things we think about as we're planning our day. We do try to limit our activities on Sunday, like going places, because it takes away from my day off and my rest. You know, as a mom, I do try to I do have systems in place to make this a relaxing day. I abstain from housework. The dishes, we're either having paper plates and plastic silverware, or Matthias and the kids will take care of dishes for me. So if we go somewhere on our day off, which is Sunday, I feel like I'm gypped of my rest day. So we try to limit those, and we have some exceptions that we keep in mind, but for the most part, we just opt out of a lot of Sunday gatherings. A lot of the work on the homestead changes by the season, and wintertime is actually the God-given opportunity for homesteaders to really rest. There's not as much work to do. Obviously, there's still animal chores, and Matthias will talk a little bit more about what his day off kind of looks like. But for us, we try to take our work by the seasons, and in slower times like winter, that's really when we try to focus more on the interior projects, like work on the house. We try to tackle projects like right now we're actually undergoing decluttering downstairs and clearing out our basement. It's a time for us to work on hobbies. So this is the time of year I really do a lot of my embroidery. I don't really have as much time in the spring when we're getting the garden planted, the summer when we're starting to harvest, to work on these things. So it's a perfect opportunity to grow a skill. Wintertime is just an invitation to really slow down and reflect on our year as we make plans for the coming growing season and the coming responsibilities and things we have to do.
So as Rosie was talking about earlier too, the wintertime is more of a slow season on the homestead. It's not like there's nothing to do, but there is definitely less to do, and we intentionally strategize some of that. Like for instance, we have all of our broiler chickens in the summertime. We have our pigs throughout the spring to late fall, winter. So the wintertime we have the least amount of chores to do, and it's just a kind of a time of rest for us. But then also, as we have and intentionally have one day a week where we rest. Some of the things I try to do with that is like the daily chores. I'm normally not moving the sheep on Sundays. I generally try to do things like the day before or whatever to minimize the work that I need to do. And some of the things that we enjoy doing is reading books or magazines. And there's actually one here that we've really come to enjoy. It's called Homestead Living, but this is like more of your old-fashioned type magazine with minimum advertisements, and the advertisements that are in here are actually quality, the type of things that you would actually buy. They're quality items. So these are just like some really practical magazines. This is normally like our weekend reading type thing. Just enjoy reading through it, and there's a lot of good stuff that I've come across in here. And then of course they also have an annual edition as well that they have, and this is not something we're sponsored by or anything. It's just really good quality learning material magazine. This is the type of thing that I'm willing to spend money on just because it's that good. It's good to see people that are still putting out good things like this. And the importance of taking a day of rest for us is, we do have 6 days a week that we can work, and it's actually a biblical principle that God put in place, a day of rest. And if you just go all the time, you're going to burn out. And these are the types of things that you have to prioritize and you need to be intentional about. And it may seem counterintuitive to take a day of rest, but what we have found, and I believe there's enough studies behind it to prove it as well, is you're actually more productive if you take a day of rest. You rest for a day, and then you have 6 other days to do your things. Now, we're not like, hardcore against doing things on our Sabbath day, but what we have focused on is it needs to be life-giving. If it doesn't add to the value of the day, then we're probably going to opt out of it.
Thanks for joining us today. Please subscribe and drop a comment and tell us your favorite way to slow down. We'll see you next week.